Welcome, friends. Today, we are doing a very special live stream. Amazing. That's right. Today is an extremely special live stream. A very, very special live stream. Maybe the specialist. Certainly one of them. Where I will be having a guest, a rare occurrence. And we will be unboxing one of the rarest fragrances unavailable to humanity. It was out for like 2.5 weeks, if that. But he and I, my friend and I, managed to get a bottle. How lucky we are. And so without any further ado, I shall introduce to you my friend. It is Galen, the etherealist. At the stage. There he is.
Hi, Rich. Thanks for having me.
That's quite all right. Thanks for joining.
Yes,
it's fun.
I'm actually, yes. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Oh my God!
Long-time viewer of the show, long-time lurker, rare guest.
Rare guest. You are a rare guest as well. You don't really come up anymore, do you? You kind of just like you stay in the background, in the shadows. You know, you like operate in the shadows. Oh, every once in a while, you like to dip a toe.
Well, it's good to sort of stay off the radar of my parole officer.
Well, yes, I know that feeling.
Yeah, when the less they hear about me, the better. So that's probably why I've been a little quiet. But here I am.
Marvelous. Thank God you are here as well, because it's been a couple of weeks in the making, hasn't it? This has been a long and arduous process for us, is it not?
Actually, it has. You were the one that told me about Paddock, and I didn't believe you.
I wouldn't believe me either.
I was like, yeah, that doesn't look real. You sent I think somebody was selling it on eBay.
Yes, I think it was Pradeep. He bought one. I think it was Vintage, like a second-hand website in Europe and the UK.
Yeah.
And he'd found one, and he was like, "Oh, look what I've found." And I was like, "What the hell's this?" And he was like, "Oh, it's a rare and hard to find limited edition Hermes." I was like, "I want it," and I was like, "Yes."
Actually, after I found out that it was real, I said to myself that I want it too. I mean, what's the point in buying, collecting, and talking about perfume if you can't have things that other people don't?
Well, that's the whole point, surely.
100%. I think that's why we had said let's do a live stream and try to make all those less fortunate jealous of us.
Well, precisely. That's the whole existence for the channel, really. The people, some people want to monetize the channel and get free bottles, and I'm like, well, no, because if you get free bottles, the inherently in that is that they are available and that they're being marketed so everybody else can have them, and it's like, no, you're doing it all wrong.
No, 100%. Collecting perfume to me is sort of like that Shel Silverstein poem. It's called, I think it's the Prayer of the Selfish Child.
Oh,
it's very simple, but it goes, "As I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, I pray that all my toys will break, so none of the other children can play with them." And I like to extend that same sort of terrible attitude to the things that I purchase.
Absolutely. I like rare and terrible things that other people cannot only dream of having. That's why I've already committed to sending out about 30 mils of this Paddock to various people throughout the UK in sample form.
Really?
I've told about 15 people I will send them samples. So this is, I must admit, what happened is I was like, Praddy, please, because there's a long and convoluted story about how we got these, and we'll come on to that in a minute. But Praddy, I asked if he would include a little decant of his in the parcel that he sent me from France.
Yeah.
So that I could try it before I opened it. And if I hated it, I could just sell it and get me money back. And then, like we've just been talking about, it doesn't matter if I hate it or not. That's not the point. The point is that no one else can have it. And I thought, bollocks.
At least I think that's yeah. I think that Tim mentions here in the comments that Sebastian is saying that it may get a wider release.
Yeah. As soon as I heard that, I thought, bollocks, I'm opening it. You know what I mean? At least I can claim, like, maybe not first or even second, but at least I can be like, hey, I'm around about that. You know what I mean? And I want like loads of other people to be, in all seriousness, I know we're joking about it, in all seriousness, there's no point in having these things if you can't enjoy them with other people. Do you know what I mean? Like
100%.
It is the whole point, really, if I'm being honest. The whole point of it is that you can enjoy it with like dozens or as many people as you possibly can, and they can all share their thoughts and feelings about it, and if they think it's horrible or if they think it's great, like that's what it's all about. Yes, we have some rather major news, though, breaking news that we want to share.
And I've been trying to pay attention to the chat. I'm not sure anybody said anything about it.
Does anybody know?
Are you ready to tell?
I will let you. I'll let you announce it.
Well, I will. In fact, I demanded a live stream last night based on the news, but that didn't happen. But
sorry about that.
Les Senteurs from Les Abstraits was nominated as a finalist for the Art and Olfaction Awards in the independent category.
My God.
This is huge. Awesome.
It's pretty massive. Awesome. It is pretty massive, to be fair. Let's be frank. It is absolutely massive news that someone who, like, that we know, me and you know, like, personally rather well. We speak every day, and the whole community knows as someone who has started their own brand with their own money, done it the old-fashioned way, invested, found how to do everything from the ground up, and got there throughout the whole journey. Me and you were present throughout the whole journey, so for us it's been like this kind of wondrous experience about how it works from the inside, and basking in Eugene's reflective glory. Absolutely deserved, massively deserved. It's incredible news. I don't know how or if the previous two didn't get nominated.
So they were submitted in 2023 for consideration, but they did not make the cut.
Oh my, that's quite surprising. That's quite surprising.
If you had to pick one to make the cut, what would it be? What would be from the line?
Oh God! Well, I'll tell you. I've said many times on the channel that I won't give opinion on the fragrances, because I think of everything that surrounds that, and free bottles, and I got free bottles off Eugene, which I wouldn't have accepted off anybody else, and did it because it was Eugene, and that because I did that, I wouldn't express opinion. But I am shocked, because when Eugene, because he sent me submissions, I'm sure he sent them to you as well when they were being made, right? Yep. And he sent me the iris and cocoa base of Bel Arm, or like the central accord of Bel Arm. And I said to him, I was like, if you get this right, this could be massive. You could have like one of those moments in perfume where it's like everywhere, everything everywhere all at once. You know what I mean? It could be one of the biggest perfumes of like the decade. And I am shocked that one didn't, because I thought that one would be the most, do I want to say palatable? Acceptable? No. I thought that would just cut through the zeitgeist. I thought that would like kind of encapsulate perfume, niche independent perfume, like perfectly, and become this kind of like what everybody was crying out for when YouTubers and influencers started making perfume. It's like what Dava from Fragrance Bros said that Jeremy Fragrance's perfume should have been, which was a love letter to the community. And that to me feels like what Belle Arme was kind of like.
So you're thinking that Belle Arme should have been the if you had to choose.
If it was me, if it was me, and so if I had to choose the one that I thought maybe would have got nominated and done better, it probably would have been Le Delire Exquise. But the one that I expected would have cut through the most would have been Belle Arme.
Yeah.
But it's been Desandre. It's been Desandre. I really struggle with Desandre because of the tuberose. And do you know what it is? That's absolutely, it just says more about me than it does about anything else. The amount of love Desandre gets from people is huge. It's massive. People absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I always thought it would have been Belle Arme, but I mean, it just goes to show, like, you don't know. I suppose that's why Eugene makes them and I don't like it. You know what I mean? But he loves this one as well. I mean, he loves all three of them, obviously.
I gotta say, and a few comments had been made. I have to agree with Oris Eros, right, where she says there's something, I think, magical about Desandre. And for me, I think it's far and away the best. At least it speaks to me the most.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that this is it's about as perfect a fragrance as one could find.
That's an outrageous statement. That's a massive statement.
And it reminds me a lot of stuff, but it also stands completely on its own. It seems to be a perfect encapsulation of like the last 70 years of, great perfumery, but is thoroughly modern. Like, it's the kind of, I went to this work event the other day and was actually talking to somebody about fragrance, and they were like, well, recommend something to me. And I had recommend for this person, he's like probably 40 years old, at a good place in his life. I had said Invasion Barbar. I said, you need to try Invasion Barbar. It is supremely confident, right? It is a perfume that you wear only for yourself. But not that it's not good, right? But that it takes you to another level. I kind of think that I think Desandre does the same thing. Like, it is a magical mix.
Yes. I would say it's extremely evocative. For me, it smells like I was talking to Eugene once, and he said that he found that it was quite masculine, and it reminded him of his father a lot. And to me, it smells like not like a vintage masculine fragrance, but it's got that greenness. It harkens back to a different time. But like you say, it's also extremely modern, right? But also, it's got that, like you say, it's magical. What it's got to me, it's got like this kind of, it's at a right angle to everything else that's being released at the minute. It's completely different from anything else you'll find in that space at the minute. It's, while it's large and it's green and it's big and it's strong, it's also extremely subtle and tender. it's got this kind of thread that, like, you know, you said it's like encapsulates like 70 years of perfume. It's got that about, it's got this thread about it that kind of threads all the way through from like the from like Girl on Vetiver,
yeah, I can see
through
that.
through things like Devon by Estee Lauder's JHL. No, not JHL. Aramis. It's got that.
It reminds me of Van Vert as well,
Right.
like that, the galbanum.
Oh, yeah. It's got that. It's got the greenness of those 70s and early 80s perfumes, with that sort of like little bit of leathery smokiness as well.
And actually, that greenness, the florality of the tuberose and the smoke and leather, it reminds me of T-Rex from Zoologist, except much more wearable. I really like T-Rex, but it's tough.
Yeah. I smelled it the other day. I actually gave my sample set of it to Laura G, and she wanted to smell. She's a big fan of dinosaurs, and she wanted to smell T-Rex because she thought, "Ooh, this might smell like, might smell like something cool." And she smelled it, and she was like, "I'm gonna have to wash that off. That is quite outrageous," and it is quite outrageous. But I know what you mean. It's got that kind of smoky green, like power, strength. Sorry, I'm getting into Jeremy Fragrance territory by very much by accident there. Craft. It's got craft. It will smash your head. It's got that about it, and it's got this eternal vibe about it. Do you know what I mean? This like something that's always been there, you know. It's very cool, and like I said, it's at a right angle to everything else that's being released at the minute, you know.
Yeah. I think Eugene had mentioned French Lover as another point of reference. I could see that to some extent.
Yes, he's replaced the tuberose. He's replaced the iris with the tuberose. I can see that as well.
I think he did send me just a few drops of one of the mods, and instead of tuberose, it actually had jasmine in it.
Ooh.
Yes. And the switch to tuberose, it was the right move.
Yes. I'm not sure how I would have felt if it was. I do prefer because I struggle with white florals in general, and I do struggle with the tuberose and Desandra. But if it was jasmine, I couldn't. I don't think I could. I couldn't even approach it. I find jasmine very, very sickly. It reminds me of a chapel of rest. Do you know what I mean? And I can't. I'm just. It's so ingrained in me that jasmine it's an affront to my inner quack, you know. It's like I really struggle with jasmine, but you can see that there's definitely, if you've got the two of them, you should put them side by side, and you can smell that there's a reference there between the two. There's much pleasure. But I mean, it was Ramsey who said that he thought it smelled like Devon, and I've got a vintage Devon, and I pulled it out and smelled it, and I was like, wow. I mean, that is a really good comparison to what it smells like. But I think there's a bit kind of, they're not the same by any stretch, but there's this kind of divergence between the two before you get to the base. Do you know what I mean? Well, we've got Frederick Marle on the screen. What do you think of Frederick Marle leaving his brand?
I I'm not sure I'm super. It's interesting news. I'm not a huge fan of Frederick Mall, but I know when we were chatting about it a few days ago, I had posed a theory, which was that I would not be surprised if he was forced out. And that is because Estee Lauder as a company, a publicly traded company, is getting their asses handed to them. And they're probably looking over every single line, every single product, and saying what is performing right now.
Yeah.
And I would not be surprised if they looked at the Frederick Mall stuff and said, like, you may be the face of this, but we are the owners.
Yeah.
And you can either start making shit that sells, or you can hit the road. And he probably said, I'll hit the road. That's oftentimes how it goes. I mean, when you got a company that's, I mean, we're talking hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap, right? People ain't fucking around.
Yeah.
And it's Estee Lauder, I think, not doing great in makeup, not doing great internationally, especially places like, China and into greater Asia. And they're like, we have to fix this, because if we don't, everybody's going to get fired.
Yes. Yes. Do you know what it is? I think that you're right. I think that you're right. The more I thought about it, that I don't want that to be true. I don't want that to be the case, but I think it is the case. And I think that, I mean, I was looking, somebody said the other day, I think it was Divine, he wasn't on the stream, he was in the chat, and he said Frederick Mall does about £28 million a year, 28 million euros, $28 million. I thought, that's not very much at all. I'd be surprised if like there wasn't like more. I was surprised to hear that. So I don't know how true that is. I don't know if Estee Lauder would bother with a company like that. You know what I mean?
Well, it certainly is a pretty solid contributor to a bottom line. I'm not sure that they ever had the breakout of a Santal 33, of a shit. I don't know. I don't know if there's any Killians that are just
An
that
event
everybody
type
loves.
of thing.
When I lived in Portland, there wasn't a single store that carried Frederick Mall. I know when you move to a bigger city, I mean, shit, like San Francisco, I'm sure I can go and find Frederick Mall, but it is not it's not a particularly well-known name.
Yeah.
In the greater sense of things,
Yes.
And I think the thing about a place like Estee Lauder is, they're publicly traded. They're probably more beholden to the market and quarterly reports than some other brands, right? Specifically like LVMH, right? Things that happen under the LVMH brand, kind of umbrella. They're so stuffed down into, I mean, there's like, shit, I don't know, 50, 60 different houses, across, beauty, retail, entertainment, spirits, that they don't break out any of that information. And it's probably a good thing it's probably a better thing for brands that have a larger footprint and that work across markets than at a place like Estee Lauder, because I would not be surprised if a place like LVMH is shifting around big pools of money from the cash cows to support the brands that are just bleeding money, right? And just keeping them afloat. Which is a good place to be, like you look at some of the stuff that they've done with like Jean Patou. I mean, the brand still exists. They still make clothes. I would all but guarantee that nobody buys them.
Yes.
Right. And if they weren't hidden deep within this highly complex structure, that somebody probably would look at it and go, fucking kill it. Right.
Yeah.
So
Do you think there's some sentimentality still in there in LVMH somewhere? Or do you think that it's literally, oh no, just hoovering things up so he can say he's got them? Stuff that he grew up around that was prestigious once, and it sustains him as like a person, you know, and he keeps it around because he thinks that they used to be massive, and now they're mine and I keep them, and maybe when he goes one day, the kids might get rid of all these heritage brands like Jean Patou.
you know, I don't know. I don't know exactly what. Well, obviously, I don't know. I don't know exactly, but it seems to be something that they've done, right? Where they go, we're going to take a multi-decade view of building a brand and invest in it, and not worry about the quarterly ups and downs, because we're confident that we're right. Right? We don't need this bet to pay off in the next year. We're willing to wait 10 years, 15 years. Nobody gets to do that these days, which is a huge blessing. Whether or not that we would necessarily agree with anything that they're doing, they probably don't give a shit, you know?
Yes. You can afford not to care.
I'm sure somebody cares, but they probably at a point where they've been doing what they do for a long time. They've been very successful. And the idea of somebody saying you're wrong is not that is something that they don't experience. It's
yes.
Fuck you. I don't give a shit what you think.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, but stuff like Patou, I'm surprised. I'm really surprised that they did what they did. You know, even just buying the brand and then using the name Joy seems like that. That's terrible. That is terrible.
It is. It's like buying it. That's what I thought. I just always thought, because I kind of see like Arnaud a bit like Vince McMahon, in that he kind of not the sexual deviancy, but the kind of like, if you know the story of how the WWE, WWF became the monopoly in wrestling. Basically, he just went around the states hoovering up all these failing territories, and what he was doing is he was buying the tapes, so they would tape their shows like all throughout the years and the decades. And he would go in there and he would buy the company, buy the rights, he didn't want the rings or anything like that, because the companies obviously had their own wrestling rings and their TV cameras. He was like, I don't want that shit. I want your backlog. I want your IP. I want your tapes, basically. And he had the view 30 years ago that he would have his own television station where he would put reruns of all these old matches and all these old superstars. And I think Vince McMahon, and I kind of draw this similarity to Arnaud, in that when he was growing up, he admired those things over there. They were shiny, they were different, they were the competition, they were something foreign to him, and he wanted them. He wanted to absorb them into himself. And I think that there's something about those type of men, and it is almost exclusively men, that just want it, and they want to take possession of it, and they want it to be theirs, and they want it all to be theirs. And there isn't necessarily business sense in it. And since they're the one at the top and they've made great business decisions in other areas, like you were saying, shifting vast pools of money around, they can afford to indulge that side of themselves.
Yeah.
It's just a theory. It's just a theory. Pradeep said in the chat, sorry, Arnaud going to extreme lengths to buy Hermes. I think he's a bit scared of Hermes. But I've also, just the last thing on this like topic of stuff like that. The Wertheimers who own Chanel, they're old men now, and apparently the kids have got no interest in running the company whatsoever. And every year they take $5 billion, 5 billion euros, and they move it from Chanel to the Cayman Islands. I have this feeling, right, with everything that's going on at Chanel, if you listen to the super dig-ups of this world and you listen to the other like fashionistas and stuff, Chanel's been on the slide for a while as far as quality is concerned and pricing. So the prices are going up, much like the perfumes. The prices are going up. The quality of the goods is going down. I think the Wertheimers could be getting ready for a sale. But how much Chanel would go for, because it's a privately owned company, how much Chanel would go for on the open market and who would be able to buy it? I can't see LVMH being like considered for the sale. I think it would be like one of these massive hedge funds.
Yeah. What does Chanel do, about a couple billion a year in sales? Maybe like 2 billion?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think that I heard that the Wertheimers have moved 5 billion out in like just raw cash and just moved into the Cayman Islands. So I don't know what Chanel's. Let's have a quick Google. Chanel sales per year. Chanel sales per year. I don't know. 17. Chanel reported a 17% increase in revenue in 2022, delivering 17.22 billion for the year ending the 31st of December.
Okay. Okay, that's more than 2 billion. I was thinking I'm like going 2 billion is this is obscene. 2 billion is really not that much.
It is an obscene statement, but it is actually true.
So, a lot of companies like Creed probably sold at about like 10 times their yearly revenue, right? So they sold, they were sold for about what, 2 billion?
I think it was 3. I think it was 3. They went to Kering for 3 because they went to BlackRock for 1, and then they went to Kering for 3, maybe 3.5.
So their annual revenues for 2023 were estimated around 250 to 300 million.
Okay.
So we're probably talking like, right, so like a 10x markup, right? That was the value on the market. For a company like Chanel, you take that 17, multiply it by 10. So we're at $170 billion right now. You could probably add you could add a little bit more there simply because of the cachet. Like there is, right. There's no other company like that.
Yes.
So if you got a spare, I don't know, $300 billion sitting around, or maybe you can get somebody to let you borrow it.
Not bad. That's like another problem, isn't it? Even if you wanted to sell Chanel, who the fucking hell is going to be able to buy it? Like, do you know what I mean? If it was Arnaud with LVMH, he's only worth 500 billion. He'd literally have to mortgage the company to buy Chanel, and that's whether the not the retailers, what they call the regulators, would allow that, because then there would be no competition left.
Yeah.
Well,
shit. You know what? We're actually getting a ton of grief. Somebody accused us of edging with this whole Paddock unboxing.
Oh dear.
Yes.
It's floral notes. She's always talking filth.
Well, I'm not even sure what edging. I'm going to look that up right now on my work computer.
You don't know what edging is. You don't know what edging is.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Okay. Everyone, I hope you have appreciated the market talk and how me and Galen have insight into these things. Galen has insight into these things. I just talk wet. It's the good thing about not having any sort of responsibility or anything at all, really.
I love talking about this kind of stuff. So
do you?
Oh yeah, you should. I
think it provides an insight into human behavior, because I think you can draw direct parallels between crackheads and like boardroom executives, because the thing that joins them is that they're human with like motivations and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it's like they've got and they do absolutely bizarre things that I don't understand, but they make perfect sense to them in their world. I just think it's extremely funny that only the haircuts change. You know, what's
great about this world is that there are going to be boardroom executives that are also crackheads.
Oh, absolutely! Oh my God, yes! Good grief! There's a study done was it in the 90s or the 2000s, where a guy went round and he was a psychologist, and he interviewed loads of like, it was in the city of London, you know, the financial district, and he reckons that in the general population the incidence of psychopathy is about 3 to 4%, and he thinks the incidence of psychopathy in the boardroom is about 25 to 35%, maybe even higher. And he said if you actually look, and he didn't do this study, just like part of his conclusion was that one of the things about psychopaths is that they don't perform very well at their jobs, but they keep getting these outrageously high-powered jobs because of their charisma. And he was like, if you look at it, he was like, it would be a study for another day. He was like, but the companies are run by these people who have no earthly right to be there based on their performance, but based on their charisma and their ability to lead and climb the greasy pole. He was like, that's how they get there. And he was like, it's a fascinating study. I'll see if I can find it and I'll send it to you. But he said like the whole boardroom executive kind of like talent pool is riddled with psychos, literal psychos, like not necessarily murderers, just non-violent psychopaths. Yeah. You know, people who distinctly and profoundly lack empathy and stuff like that. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Okay, then. Let us move on to the main event of the evening, or the morning, where Galen is.
The morning.
Galen, what time is it where you are? 8:45? It's 5:45 here.
What time is it? Holy shit.
The joys of the internet.
Oh my God. 8, yeah. 8:45.
8:45. Okay, then. Let us go, ladies and gentlemen. In March, late March, Hermes very sneakily released a very limited edition perfume named Paddock. It's not part of the Hermes Essence line. It's not part of the Un Jardin line. It's not part of any other line, really. It's a standalone release all by itself. I went to the Hermes counter the other day and spoke to the girl. She had absolutely no fucking idea what I was talking about. I think she was on the verge of calling security.
I actually called the San Francisco store and said, "Are you getting Paddock?" And they had said, "We have no idea what you're talking about."
It happens that I must admit, it's not the first time I've been looked at like I had two heads by a sales associate when asking about a strange and unusual release that may or may not be occurring. But here we are. I was informed of this by Pradeep, who found a bottle on Vinted for a clean €100 less than what I paid. So I am fuming. His came with some added goodies, namely poo-poo paper. Absolutely fuming. If I don't get this poo-poo paper in this box, I will be unimpressed. I will be an unimpressed duck.
You actually
but it's
sent
not
a picture of the poo-poo paper, right?
He sent me a picture of the poo-poo paper. Apparently there is this thing where some company can make paper out of horse grunt, which is just wild. But I don't know if ours contains this in the box, because how me and Galen came to acquire this was actually the same method. And Galen got his before mine. There is a personal shopper named Suzanne Becker, and she is from the United States, and she travels to France 4 or 5 times a year, I believe. And she had sent an email, which she does once every 6, 8, 10 weeks. And she said, I'm going to France. I'm going to visit Hermes. I'm going to visit Chanel. Do you want a Birkin bag? Do you want a thing? It's like a generic email she sends out. And I decided to send Suzanne Becker a message and say, hello, yes, I'm all right for that £40,000 handbag. But if you're going to Hermes, they are stocking a very rare and very exclusive perfume, and it's called Paddock. And if you find it, would you buy it and would you send it to me? And she said, no. And she said, no, I can't send it to you because it's perfume and you live in England. And I was like, ugh. And I thought, what the hell am I going to do? And then I thought, yes, I have people on every continent. I have somebody in France, and he's called Pradeep, from India. He traveled. So I had a man from India travel to France, right? I had a woman from America travel to France. She went to the Hermes boutique. She bought the perfume for me, thank God. She sent it to Pradeep, who is from India, living in France, who then sent me, living in northeast England, the perfume from France to me. And that is how I got it. Galen did it much more the traditional way. She just went to France, bought it, brought it back, and sent it to him. He got his a week before I got mine.
True.
And Galen and I decided that we would do a live stream. And then mine came, and I got itchy feet, and I was like, whoa. And then Galen was like, I waited a week for you. And I was like, yes, you did, to be fair, yes.
And actually, the day you got it, you're like, you want to do a live stream right now? I'm like, I have to work.
I have a job. And I was like,
job. If they catch me unboxing a perfume on the internet during work hours, it's not going to be a good look. Not a good look.
You could have just stayed behind an hour later, but it's not to worry. We are here now. We can relax. It's not as furtive. But I'm still excited.
I am excited.
I'm excited too.
You know what? Should we just do this? Should we just at least open it?
Yes. Come on.
Right.
I'm hoping for. There's Paddock. It's all sealed. Galen's are sealed as well. Let's go. How do we do this? Are you a tearer? Are you somebody who just like rips it off and doesn't try and save the wrapping paper? Because there are some people that leave the paper on.
I don't know if that'd be possible. Let's see if I can do that.
Oh, I think that shit has sailed for me, unfortunately. All the Paddock stuff is on a sticker on the outside, the identifying mark. So this is a generic box. Ooh, it's like Christmas. Ooh, Galen's done it. Look at that. Oh, I like that kind
surprised.
of. No, there's no poo-poo paper. Suzanne has pocketed the poo-poo paper, clearly.
It does have a...
I didn't get any of that shit.
This is not in yours?
Hold on. Is it? Oh, yes, it is. Sorry. It does have a little thing. What does it say? Eau de Parfum, Paddock. It's going to be written in French, isn't it? Because it was only sold in France. Hold on.
No. So it talks about
Oh,
Les
there it
Senteurs
is.
Hermes. It
An
is
unmissable event.
in the International Equestrian Calendar, brings the world's best riders together in Paris every year. Alongside the competition, this meeting celebrates the relationship between horse and human through the lens of the house's know-how. This event promises elegance, emotion, and sensations, and brings its unique scents, a combination of hay, straw, wood, wax, and rich manure.
You want nothing to do with my manure, I can tell you.
It says it right there. It says rich manure.
It does say rich manure. It says rich as manure right there. Can you see? Rich manure. And then on the other side, it says, it was while visiting the Saut Hermes stables that Hermes' in-house perfumer, Christine Nagel, felt the desire to capture the event's unique olfactory atmosphere. Paddock Eau de Parfum, named after the arena in which riders and horses relax and prepare, recreates the blend of honeyed accents and hay with amber notes of carrot seeds. It is the scent that precedes and follows every rider.
All right.
Okay, then. I'll put the box to one side. Ooh. No poo-poo paper.
No poo-poo paper.
There it is. I love the picture on the front. Someone just caressing that horse with some lovely hat. That horse looks rather relaxed, you know?
Yeah. When I saw it the first time, I was like, I do love that. That is fabulous.
Yes. I love how it's just like, come here, horse, give me. It looks like you're about to give it a kiss, you know? I do like that. Are you ready to spray, Galen? It's exactly the same color. I've got Iris Paprika here. It's not the same bottle, but the cap is exactly the same.
Yeah.
So
it's
at least
it's a nice smooth leather.
It is a smooth leather. It's very soft.
Are any of the any from the Hermescence, is the leather all like this? Are there any that are
no, it's not. I've got the Santal Messiah, and that's more of like a felt leather, and then the Vetiver Tonka is more like the Paprika Brazil and the what's it called? Are you ready to spray? Have you sprayed?
I'm ready, and I've got clean skin, so I'm just going right to.
Are you going to wear it as your scent of the day?
It's going to be my scent of the day.
Oh, go for it.
It's a Saturday.
Oh, them first few clicks. I'm happy to report that. Ooh, hey. I'm happy to report that it wasn't pre-sprayed like the Maison Francis Kirkjohn that I recently got and had to send back. Ooh, Galen. You go first. You're the guest. You go first. What do you think of that?
It's very nutty and a little bit bready. I can get that leather. There's that hint of really smooth leather. Overall, I like it.
This is really nice.
It's good.
It's nothing like what I thought. I thought it was going to be as horsey as all fuck. I thought it was going to be like this kind of sweaty. This is pre-competition. It's not post-competition. This is where they're being nice to the horse, trying to keep it relaxed. They're like, here's some hay, maybe a little bit of like honey on the hay, you know. There is like a bready kind of biscuity, bready coupe jeu de peau. It's not exactly like jeu de peau. I've said that now, and I didn't. It's not exactly like jeu de peau, but it's got that kind of wheaty, pre-baked bread. That kind of. There's something a little bit nutty, like you said, like a chestnut,
yes.
like a chestnut brown kind of leather strap, rather than out and out leather. Is it gallows leather? No, no, it's not gallows leather. It's a bit darker than that, I think. I smelled gallows the other day, and it's absolutely glorious. It's fantastic. It's like cuir d'orange, but not awful. It's no, I don't hate cuir d'orange. I've said that. I don't mean it like that. But it's cuir d'orange, but a lot more sort of palatable to me. Cuir d'orange is a little bit outrageous.
You know what's interesting? That chestnut, I don't associate the actual smell of chestnuts with a horse, but there actually are chestnut mares, excuse me.
Yeah.
And maybe, right, actually being just kind of going, well, shit, and I would assume there's probably a lot of chestnut mares that are part of these competitions of maybe just kind of going, why don't we just literally use a chestnut accord in this to make that connection between the horse and the perfume?
Yes. And you get chestnut colored leather as well. You get that you can get that dark leather. It's not, there's something lurking like you. There's something lurking. And it's underneath that kind of blonde, that kind of blonde hay, kind of honey, little bit sweet, little bit gentle vibe. There's something a little bit stronger, something a little bit more substantial, just behind it. It's a lot fresher. There's a lot. This would fit in the Hermes Essence line as one of the darker ones, but it kind of straddles that kind of Hermes Essence signature line leather sort of thing.
I did two sprays on skin. I put one on paper, and I gotta say, I'm actually a little overwhelmed right now.
Oh,
yeah, a little bit. Not in a bad way, but I feel like it needs to settle a bit.
Okay.
Like the leather seems to have that sort of IBQ vibe to it. A little chemical.
A little harsh.
A little bit.
That's what I'm getting, that sort of thing at the background. That there's something definitely lurking within, like that kind of relationship that humans have with horses and they've had for centuries now, and that that you're smarter than a horse, but a horse is stronger than you. And
horses are pretty damn smart too.
Oh, they're smart. I didn't realize horses were smart.
Oh, yes, they're very smart.
They're very flighty though. They get spooked very easily. And the thing is with a horse, if a horse decides that it's not having it from you, then there's nothing you can do. Like, as trained as you are, that I remember the footage of the girl, I think it was at the Olympics, where she was doing this horse thing, and the horse was just like, no, fuck off, I'm not having it today. And she ended up crying and everything. She was like, my horse isn't like that. But it's kind of like, that's what this feels like. It feels like there's something in the background that retains its independence from the niceness and the goodness from the top of the perfume, that kind of welcoming honey, hay, blonde, sunshine, calm, floral thing. And it's got this kind of there's this kind of, I am still separate from you. You may have tamed me. I may be part of something, but I still have my own agency. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's and it is definitely settled. I think I'm past a little bit of that harsh stage. Overall, I think this is something that, one, it's very evocative of its inspiration, right? I think they've done a pretty good job there.
Yes.
I'm also, I can't imagine this being, if this does come into the main line, right, or whatever line, right? Maybe they'll come out with like, you know, just put this into the Hermescence. It being super popular.
Yeah.
However, I do think that it's something that I can't pass judgment on this right now. Like, I need to wear this several times over the course of several weeks. But
yes, and let it settle in your mind as well as settling as a perfume.
Yeah.
I found the opening very, very welcoming. Come on in. Don't be afraid. It's going to be okay. Like it's calm in here. It's there's a nice thing, and then when you get in there and you've been welcomed in, you slowly start to realize that there's like really strong leather straps around. There's a slight whiff of danger in here. You know, like that harshness, that kind of chestnut dark. There's like there's a little bit of something that not threat, but power. You know, there's a slight reserved kind of power. It kind of brings you in, lets you come in, lets you get settled, and then it's like, don't forget, you are among animals, and you are among like you are among like nature still, you know.
I know one of the, right, you know, the key inspirations here is the you know, horseshit.
Yes.
Croton. Is that it? Croton?
Crotin. C-R-O-T-T-I-N.
You know, I get it. It's not a bad thing at all. I actually like it.
That brownness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's certainly not obtrusive, right? It's not like in your face. It's not unpleasant. It's probably more like passing by a stall rather than actually going in and, you know, with a pitchfork and a pair of muck boots on and being forced to, you know, clean out a week's worth of mess.
Yeah. Yeah. It's to me, it smells like you're driving down a country road and you're driving past a farm. The stone built walls, which are just like walls where the rocks are just piled on top of each other. I don't know if you have them over there. We have them; they're everywhere in Britain. And you're driving along, and then so there's cows. You can't smell the cows. There's cows in some fields, and then you get to the part where the horses are, and there's clearly more investment in the horses than there is in the looking after of like the cows and the pigs and the sheep and all of that. And the horses are what that put a little bit more in, and that because there is like a refinement to this, you know. There's like an acceptability to it, like man's entrance into nature. You've got to accept the fact that you're going to stand in shit every once in a while, and you know what I mean. And you're driving past, but you are just passing by. You're not in there, you know. I get that. I get exactly what you're saying. Rich, is Paddock softer than Peau d'Espagne? Yet, like you wouldn't believe, it is so much soft. It's soft. It's very Hermes. It's definitely got a Hermes vibe to it.
Is Dushan is that the Santa Maria Novella?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had Peau d'Espagne, and I sent it to a friend.
Yeah, it's a wicked perfume. It's got a lot of
it is a wicked perfume.
It is a wicked.
Yeah, this is much more wearable. Have you tried Rock?
I have tried Rock, and it's nice, but it had this mushroom kind of thing going on, that I didn't really like. Had this dingy, I imagined an abandoned house and like shuttered windows with like mushrooms growing in, like because it had been abandoned for that long. Like I smelled like decay, but like ordered decay. You know, that was like the house was still upstanding and the floorboards were still there, but they were like in the process of going. Again, very nature kind of thing. Rock sold out, and everyone was like, "Oh no, Rock's gone," and I was like, "I'm at peace with that." To be perfectly honest with you, like, you know what I mean?
Well, shit, yeah, I was FOMOing over that Roberto Greco, right, over Rock, and then it passed. I was okay with it, right? I'm at peace. But then, of course, when Paddock came around, it was like,
no,
I got to do something about this.
Yes.
What about comparing it to Un Jardin à Cyter?
I managed to smell that the other day. Did you bought the 15 ml, didn't you?
I did.
You've got it to hand. I asked for a sample and I was promptly told no. So I did. Yes, I don't know why they do that. I smelled it and I have thoughts, but I will let you go first because you have a bottle there.
Well, first off, I actually like Cyter. It's basically, right. First off, I think if I was gonna put one against the other, I see absolutely no similarities.
Okay.
Almost none. None.
Nothing.
No. Cyter seems to be, I think, a very summery perfume. I think that it reminds me of almost like a creamy fig leaf with some kind of like sweet lemon, a little bit of greenness, a little bit of woodiness, but also this almost like 3-star Michelin chef made whipped cream, like the best fucking whipped cream you've ever had.
Yeah.
Like that's what it reminds me of. I know that doesn't align with anything on Fragrantica, anything in the comparison on like in the official write-up, but like I don't get a ton of nuttiness in this. It really seems to be, it really reminds me of like other creamy fig leaf perfumes. It really does.
Yeah. There was my impression, and it was only I think it's one of the first times I've smelled it there, and I smelled it, and I think that there is a material that is used in both of these, and that's where the similarity ends. It's like one material. It's not an accord. It's not. It's not anything. But there is that. To me, there is one material, and I don't know what it is. And I don't know if it's that thing that provides like. I don't know if it's the thing that provides the little bit of sweetness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's the thing that provides the bit of sort of like dry sort of yellowness, because you get a yellowness from the hay. But there's that, to me, there is like a singular, very tenuous, they don't smell similar to each other, but there's a material. There was one like kind of, whether it was like that kind of dry sort of vibe but they're not the same perfume, like, at all.
Yeah. You know, and Paroli asked, right, you know, both have a hay note. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But the way that they you know, the way they present is just,
Yes.
I don't know how the
Clean.
connection was necessarily made. And maybe, look, I could be wrong, right? I've been wearing, you know, Senteurs quite a bit. I'll be wearing, you know, Paddock today. But first impressions, I'm not really getting it.
No, I don't think the smells I don't think they smell the same either. I genuinely have. I wouldn't have put it together if somebody hadn't said, and I went looking for it, which I think I'm susceptible to, and I think a lot of people are susceptible to when they, you know, like that kind of they're susceptible to like comparison and stuff. If somebody says, "Oh, this looks like that," and they're like, "Oh yeah, I see it," when you've said it. But if you hadn't, I never would have made that comparison. If somebody hadn't said that it smelled the same, somebody said the smell not only similar but almost identical. And like I was like, hang on a minute. I was like, that better not be true, because if I've paid the best part of $300 for this, and then it turns out that fucking it smells the same as one of the Jardin line, I'll be fuming. You know what I mean? But I'm happy to report that that is not the case.
Actually, when you told me that, you're like, if these are similar, or if I don't like it, I'm getting rid of it. I'm like, I've been waiting. I've been waiting.
I'm not getting rid of this. I'm not going to like do the decants and then sell a partial and get me money back. I keep this. I think this is wearable spring, summer, maybe autumn as well. I think it's too light for the winter. We get harsh winters here, like a lot of the time. We're on the same latitude as Alaska, but we do have the jet stream, so it takes the edge off. But I think this smells to me like late summer, when the fields are being chopped like for hay, you know, and there's heat and it's pleasant, and it's not the height of summer where it's oppressive. It's got that kind of slightly calming end of summer, late August kind of feel to it. And I would wear this tomorrow, you know, and it's, what day is it? It's the 20th of April. It's 420. Congratulations to those who celebrate. Or well done. You know, I'm happy for you. But it's I would wear this from April all the way through to possibly October for me. And I'm that person who, there are a lot of people who don't do this, but I am that person who splits their collection in half so I can wear autumn and winter and spring and summer separately. I think this would go for I think this would go for April through to October.
You know, as evocative as the description of late summer is, I think usually when I love that smell, right? I love fragrances that carry that sort of profile. But when I'm like in the middle of it, I usually want an antidote.
Yeah.
I'd be really hard pressed, I think, to lean into, you know, that late summer weather with this on. I think I think it would be difficult.
You think it would compound? You think it would compound the summer, make it too much, like it would bring it on, rather than like break it up, and like it would.
Yeah, possibly. No, you know, there are a few perfumes that I do feel evoke that, like that late summer heat, and that I actually really enjoy, like kind of like this, like, how do I harmonize like the fragrance I'm wearing with like the environment? one particular is Immortel Course from Parfum d'Empire, where it has this. It's leathery, and it has this sort of lived-in T-shirt vibe to it, but it's fucking gorgeous. Like, it is gorgeous, and I was shocked how well it comes alive in the sunshine, right? Mostly because it's not a subtle fragrance, but like having moved here from Portland, right? It was like in the summers there. A lot of days are in the 80s, 90s, sometimes the hundreds. You know, there was a ton of. I mean, it gets hot there, like hot.
Yeah.
And I probably would not wear something like this or a Immortel Course during, you know, those heat waves. But, you know, actually being in, you know, the Bay Area, it's a pretty temperate Mediterranean-like climate. I mean, summer's probably going to be 70s, maybe a few days in the 80s.
Do you know what that is in real money? Do you know what that is in Celsius?
What do I look like?
Late. Do you want an answer?
What do I look like? No, I don't.
It's going to be like I think it's going to be the late 20s. That to us, that's a heat wave. You see, that's like, to me, that's like hell. Like late 20s, early 30s. It got up to 40 a couple of years ago, and I was bathing in geranium Paul Monsieur. I would have good possibility I would have broiled in that kind of heat. Unfortunately, I've got an air conditioner, which nobody in this country has, because it's the most pointless thing. But the weather's just becoming crazy. So the kind of like what you're saying there, like summers in different parts of the world are very different. And in the British summer, it's a lot more temperate than what it'll be in Portland and stuff like that.
I mean, Hey, shit, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, what did it get, like 119, 120? Like, it was...
Yeah, fuck that.
Fuck that.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
All. It's fucking crazy. Like the temperatures are going wild. And there are parts of the world where it's going to become uninhabitable. Like, what's causing climate change? Bollocks. People can argue about that till the end of fucking time. All I know is it's fucking far too hot when it gets too hot. Now, I really can't handle it because I'm a fucking big unit and I overheat at the best of times.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? But yeah.
The nice thing actually about just... I mean, Pradeep did ask, right? Is living in the Bay Area still cool? And the answer is no, which is why I'm here. But, you know, we're like, being on the coast is so nice. Like, I love it. It's pretty nice. And in fact, you know, we take our dog down to the beach like maybe 2-3 times a week, let him run free. And that's actually where we see horses. There are always horses down on the beach.
Wild horses?
No.
But it is America. It is America. You know what I mean? It's like there's no wild left in Britain or Europe. Like, so I'm just wondering if there's any wild horses in America. That would be nice.
Well, actually, you know, we have a park across the street from us, and there are coyotes.
No way.
Yeah, we've come face to face with coyotes.
Did they shout at you? Well, that's hyenas, isn't it? No, they laugh at you.
Yeah, no hyenas. But when we go to the beach, my dog finds the horse shit and he eats it.
Oh, the horrible dog!
What a bad man. I know. And you know what?
He's anticipating Paddock. That's what
he's about to say. I should open up the door, let him come in, see if this is as good as the real thing.
See if he tries to eat the bottle. It's It's outrageous. So has the move gone well to San Fran, or the Bay Area, I should say? Is it like, are you happy?
Yeah, flavor sauce. I actually live in San Francisco, so I am like I used to live here 25 years ago. I moved to San Francisco first time 30 years ago. August of 1994. I was 17 years old and stuck around for 6 years, 7 years, then moved to Portland and then East Coast and back to Portland, and shit, 3 decades later, I'm just kind of retracing my steps.
Is it better second time around?
Second time around. Second time around. Things
Is
are
it
far
better
more.
second? Yeah, you enjoying it more?
I am. You know, San Francisco is actually a beautiful city. Well, I think everybody kind of knows that. But it's big, it's bustling. There's just tons of, I mean, shit. You can be in Malibu in 15 minutes, right? You know, you could be at the beach, right? You could be out in the water. You can be, you know, in Chinatown in 20 minutes. You can be in Japantown. You can be, you know, Haight Street. You could be hanging out with the tourists. You could be out on a boat. You know, you could be in the middle of nature and, you know, a 30-minute car ride. It's like got everything, like, and it's world class. And it's somewhat of a, yeah, I mean, it's got West Coast problems. It's got liberal problems.
Yeah.
But compared to Portland, it's actually a very well-run city. Like, people are like, do you like it here? Do you miss Portland? I go, yeah. You know, for all the shit that people complain about Portland, or no, about San Francisco, I just go, this place is like, this is like the best run city in the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's just different, but it's really cool. It's really cool. And I think I'm at a point in my life where, I mean, 30 years is a huge difference, you know, and I'm like, I am a completely different person. I'm like a 180 from what I was, you know, 30 years ago. So,
yeah. It's
so
like to say, youth is wasted on the young.
Oh, 100%.
I find that more and more as I get older. I'll say something as, even though I've become really unwell and I've got like less ability to do things, I am actually probably happier now than I've ever been in my life at the age of 38. You know, I'm more content and settled, and I can relax and I can enjoy things. And I feel like I'm much more open to learning than I was when I was a kid. And I'm not as traveled as like you, or like places like, or things like that. And maybe that's not something that's going to be possible now. But at the same time, I feel like I'm accepting enough to be able to take that in. And the only thing, I don't have major regrets about my life. Like, everybody has regrets, but like the thing is, I always think to myself is that if this is what people told you, age, and everybody's like, oh, your youth is like the best years of your life. I don't feel that way. I feel like my best years are probably ahead of us. I'm going to be able to enjoy and accept life and be happier as I get older, you know, whereas I find there's quite a few people in and around my space in real life where they are rebelling and really struggling against the fact that life is, like, a lot of people I know in my age bracket feel like their life's over before they've hit 40. And I'm like, that's like, there's something that, like, it's an internal problem, that it's not something that is that's not actually what's going on. There's something else going on in yourself, you know. my humbling as a man through my physical health problems has improved my quality of life, strangely, or my experience of life in a very strange way that I'm actually quite happy about, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's it's good. I think a lot of people never quite get to that point, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I don't spend a whole lot of time regretting the past, but there are times when I think that in 20 years I'm going to say middle age is wasted on the middle aged. You know, I'm gonna be like, man, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's. I think a lot of people never come around to it, right? But ultimately, and I'm speaking only from my experience, right? The only person that I have to learn to deal with is me. You know,
Yeah.
like I look in the mirror and I go, I'm the source of all my problems.
Yes.
You know, that's not the case for everybody, you know, but I'd say as a, you know, an American citizen of, you know, born in the 1970s, solidly upper middle class, you know, doing well, roof over my head. Actually, there's no food in the fridge, but there could be. You know,
It's a
that like
possibility.
I have it so good, like so good.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It is you look around. I think the ability as well is when you get older, you get to look around, and like you say, like I'm born in the middle of the 80s, at the height of the 80s, and growing up in the 90s, getting to experience that, and the general level of people, like the high watermark of of like Western. I don't want to say Western civilization, but like the high watermark of like just everything was calmer. And like, I mean, you'll know this as well as I do. Everything feels like it's really strung out there at the minute. You step out your door, you feel like you're getting sandblasted from every direction with politics or with fucking like terror or war or fucking famine or climate change or all of these things are politics, I suppose. You just like in the 90s, it just felt a lot more distant. It felt like further away, and you had more thing. But at the same time, I am internally, as you said, I have learned that I am the source of my problems. I am extremely lucky to live where I live at a time when I live with the people that I live with. Because even 20 years ago, even 10, 15 years ago, we wouldn't be doing this, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's being appreciative for the things you have, not coveting the things that you haven't got. Um, and I'm still working on that because, like you say, the Paddock. I got the FOMO hard with the Paddock. I was like, "Ooh, I want that Paddock. I don't give a shit." You know what I mean? Give me that Paddock. But
Uh-huh.
I felt that I'm much more at peace now, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, to probably the subscriber, the view counts right now are going way down. We're losing people. We're losing people, so we need to pivot here. But you know, I think one of the best things that you know that I've attempted to embrace is that like what I know is like I know almost nothing, right?
Yeah,
You know, and that in order to grow, I need to learn and I need to meet people and I need to be part of life. And I think one of the best opportunities to learn and practice that has been with fragrance and with the fragrance community and the worlds that it has opened up. And actually, just like you had said, right, the last 10 to 15 years, the connectivity, right? The fact that I'm talking to some knucklehead in England right now, right? And then there's 60 people watching us. Oh, the numbers are going up.
Yes.
Is it's incredible, you know?
It is. It is. It's amazing. It's what a time to be alive. I mean, there'll be. I've said before, there'll be books written about this time in history in like 15 years, 20 years, 50 years. 100 years. Like, well, I think we're living at the beginning of like a revolution as far as. I mean, everybody's terrified of AI, but it's not just AI. It's other humans still. Um, it's everything. It's crazy. And like you said about the fragrance community, if I didn't have that now, I would be very, very alone. I would be very isolated. Isolated is probably the best way of putting it. I would be, because I think this is true of a lot of people in the fragrance community as well, is that we are these disparate islands of human beings spread throughout the world, and we have found something that joins us all together, and it's a friendly place if you compare it to other communities as well. It's a very, very friendly place compared to, say, gaming or like men's health and men's mental health and stuff like that.
Watches.
That batshit. The madness, because I got into like the watch sort of thing, and I was like, "Ooh, this is quite interesting." I felt myself going down, like slipping down the rabbit hole a bit, and I got in there, and I was like, "This is a shithole. These people are awful." And I was like, "What? Like, just these arseholes have got I mean, it's just, what are you doing?" Like, the watches are very interesting and cool and stuff like that, but the money is insane, and the only thing more insane are the people.
Yeah. The you know, I'm not like a watch enthusiast. I can appreciate it. It seems as though, watches today, the high end watches, like I'm just saying, all automatics.
Yeah,
It seems to be, I see it as engineering for engineering's sake, right?
yeah,
These insane complications, in thinner and thinner models that are continue to do more and more stuff. Um, at least for me, at the end of the day, right? I just want to know the time. You know?
yes,
Just tell me the time. And I think that's probably why I haven't really gone crazy for, sort of like just watches in general. One, they're beautiful, right? And I certainly have my own, if I could, I would buy, one or two, call it good. But I'm not going to spend that kind of money.
yeah,
But it's a piece of jewelry, and at least with fragrances, and this is just for me, right? It's I can go on a journey anywhere that I want to go, depending on what I choose, right? They all have smells, right? But the world of fragrance is practically infinite, um, and that you get to go somewhere else, or you get to
yeah.
be, you get to enjoy the moment even more, right? Based on what you choose. Um, and I just don't see that with watches.
No, I think there's a lot more flexing in the watch community, to put it mildly, or to put it subtly. The it just doesn't feel as enjoyable. It's just not as friendly or enjoyable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of basic as that.
There's probably some nice people, right? The I think men in general tend to kind of ruin stuff when it comes to whatever their toys might be, right? Their toy of choice.
Yes.
Um, and shit, I don't know. At least for me, I don't have to put up with that.
Yeah, competitive stuff is I'm not into. I've never been into competition and stuff like that. As far as being Billy Big Bollocks with other men, you know what I mean. But I think with perfume as well, you get to have a lot more, a lot more, a lot more experiences and different experiences, because it's a lot easier to buy 100 perfumes than it is to buy 100 watches. You know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Thank God, as expensive as perfume is, and we'll complain about it.
Yeah, and at least for me, I think the opportunity just to shoot the shit with you about this kind of stuff is super fun. Like, you know, going and meeting people, right? The doors that that can be opened here, in
Yeah,
terms of meeting different people, getting new experiences. I mean, shit. Like, I don't know if there's going to be a video, right? But Zhao was at he was out in Annecy, France.
yes, seeing the lesson de Madable.
The I don't know, I can't say the French term, right? But yeah, their laboratory, and smelling all those materials, like going and visiting these folks. I mean, that's the best. The best.
Yes, it is amazing. Like, I got to talk on stream with Antoine Lee and Eugene and Remy and Valerie. You know what I mean? Like, the interaction a couple of weeks ago, I went and met two men from Utah in Leeds in England, and for a couple of hours, and we had a great time. It was fantastic. I've met other people, some of my best friends, like a lot of my best friends are like people I've met through the fragrance community, and we don't just talk about perfume, you know. And it's like it's amazing, and there's no kind of like shit that comes with it. You know what I mean? They're like more normal, and you get a much you get a very rewarding experience. Like you said, having the opportunity to just sit here for a couple of hours and talk with you. I did a live stream on my balcony the other day, which I ended up deleting because there was personal information shared and personal conversations with somebody who didn't know they were being recorded, which is just the height of it's not just illegal, it's wrong. You know what I mean? And it was like, yeah, I better delete that. But the reason for that stream at that time outside was because I bumped into somebody locally not 20 minutes before I went live. I bumped into somebody locally I knew 20 years ago that I absolutely fucking hated, and I had a massive falling out with them, and I was raging. It had ruined my day. It had ruined my week, and I thought, fuck it, I need to do something to cheer myself up here. So I just went live, and I was outside, and it was great. And by the end of the stream, I felt like a different person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's amazing the difference that it's the whole thing is brilliant, and I love it.
Yeah, I actually, I think one of the things that I like about living in San Francisco so much is, just the hustle, just the hustle and bustle, the being able to go into work, right? I only go in, to an office 2, sometimes 3 days a week, but I love it. And it's because I'm out, I'm about, it's just, there is something therapeutic about being part of the world, And when I always hear people at work, they're usually like, well, I'd rather work at home. I'd rather be left alone. Right? I'd rather just do my thing and then leave. And I've done that before. I totally shrivel up. Like I die inside. Like, I have to be out. And you know, it fills my cup. And that's, I think that's one of the best things about, you know, this little hobby of ours, right? Is just that ability to make connections with others, and not just simply talk about shit that's you know, spending money. I spent money on this, spent money on this, spent money on this. Okay, bye. Like that shit gets old. Like, and I know that a lot of this revolves around
consumerism.
But it doesn't have to.
Yes, it doesn't have to at all. Like, I like both. I like being left alone sometimes so I can recharge, and then when I do go out, I can enjoy it and have a good day. I went and met Laura G the other day. We went for tea, and then we smelled a couple of candles. I am slowly developing a nasty little candle habit, and it's fantastic. Diptyque have got this one called Chantilly, which is whipped cream. It literally smells like cream. It's a cream candle. They've got a cafe candle, which smells like coffee. And like, we just went out, and like, it's a reason to go out. It's a reason to get out and be amongst people and see that other people still exist, and you can interact with these people. There are new people to meet, and there are people you've met for a long time, you know, and you never know who's going to stay and who's going to go. And you find unlikely friendships, you know, and you find that you don't get on with people you thought you would. And it's a good way of stepping out of yourself while still remaining in a I don't want to say safe space, because that's just been bastardized, but like, still remaining in, like, having one foot in a comfort zone and one foot out of the comfort zone. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. You know, and I know a lot of people are like, well, Galen, that's called being an extrovert. And I actually am a big time introvert, right? I mean, like, ultimately at the end of the day, like, when I get home, I'm drained. But you know, when it's just me, and you know, when I'm alone with my thoughts. Yeah. There's something about that again, like this whole middle-age thing. It's like, you know, if you want to be about as anonymous as possible, you know, 47-year-old guy that wears average clothes, below average height, walking, you know, amongst a crowd of, you know, 1,000 people a minute. Like, man, nobody is going to notice me, and I love it. I love it.
Yes, there's an aspect of that where you can just blend in and be around and see. Do people watch?
Yeah. You know, there's also a lot of stuff that I do work-wise has kind of forced me out of my my comfort zone, right, in my shell. So I suppose I've compartmentalized sort of the public and the private. But
I do that. Yeah. I do that. I've got, like, I've definitely got different parts of my personality that need satisfying at different times. There are parts of me that I can, because if I sit in solitude and by myself for too long, then I start to feel like I start reaching critical mass, and something is going to happen. I'm gonna go somewhere in my mind. I'm gonna get down. I'm gonna like fall into like a rut that I'm gonna find very hard to get out of. So I need to jolt myself out of it, or I need to go out and I need to go out and experience. And I genuinely pine for that. The going out and being around other people and just not being at home or not being on my own. And then there's a lot of times when I've been out and like you say, I'm drained. Like, I mean, like I can't, like after I went out on Thursday, I think it was Thursday, and I got home, I was like, fuck. I was like, I need me pit. Like, I definitely need to go and go and relax and be by myself for like a good while to just bring myself down. Galen, I need to go to the bathroom, look after the stream, answer some questions, see what the people say. Be gentle with Galen.
Oh God. Okay. I guess I'm in charge now. Let's
You are.
take
I'll
a
be
look.
back.
What have we got? Enjoy. A little disappointed you couldn't take us with us. How's the fragrance? Or how is Paddock? So for those of you who weren't here when we initiated the conversation, lovely, subtle IBQ style leather, hay, still a little bit nutty. Relatively subtle, kind of a very nice spring fall fragrance. I can't say I'm like wildly blown away, but for what I expected and what we've received, I'm pleasantly surprised. Like, I think this is a very well done perfume. If I was to walk into an Hermes boutique and compare this with, I suppose, everything else in the Hermescence line, I don't know. I'm not sure it would be my first choice, especially buying it for what it was selling for. Like, I probably would have gone with Violette Violinka first, but it's solid. It's solid. And I know, I think somebody had said that they were, people on eBay were already trying to get 600 for it. I wouldn't do that. In fact, well, no. Anyways, I'm sure that Rich is probably going to send out decants to half the chat here. All right, let's see what else we got. Hey, Pat.
I am back.
I rambled a little bit.
Excellent.
People were asking about the where we stood with the dry down on Paddock.
I'm getting more of the chestnut vibe. I'm getting much more of the chestnut vibe. The brownness, the kind of leather straps. There's a little bit more darkness. That kind of blonde, hay, honey thing is retreating a bit. But it's not heavy.
No,
it's not heavy at all. It's a lovely fragrance. I might wear this tomorrow. Absolutely beautiful.
You need to wear it tomorrow.
Oh yes, I will. I'll definitely be wearing this. I'm going to do some decants, which is going to be about 20 or 30 mil because I promised it to loads of people. And
I promised it to one person. See, I get out a lot, but I don't have a particularly big circle of friends.
Well, that is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a good thing to have a small circle of friends that you can focus and concentrate on. The fragrance, like I was talking before about the fragrance thing becoming like a community and stuff, and like the wider thing has like spread me thin, but I quite enjoy it. I've got a call though, like you say. But I did go around offering it as well. Do you know what I mean?
You're a very generous person. Well, you got people on every continent to keep happy.
Well,
So.
that's right. That's exactly right. Did I tell you I'm getting Bois Noir?
That's a Chanel, right?
Yeah, that's the Chanel that was Egoist before Egoist existed.
Where's it coming from? Japan.
It's coming from deepest Japan. The French man in Japan. It's coming from him. I also, sorry.
No, I'm laughing. I know that Thomas, early Greek, right, speaks very highly of this source.
Yes, he is. I don't know if it's the same man.
No,
because he's got someone in Japan that is he knows, and I think they're Japanese. But the guy that I know is French, and what he does is he buys the perfumes in deepest Japan, and then flies back to France 3 times a year, kind of like Suzanne Becker without the handbags, and then promptly sends them to me from France, which is good. But I got a bottle of Bois Noir for Houdini and a bottle of Iquitos for him as well. He's one of the people who will receive the Paddock. So when they do a Les Odorants episode, they can sit and talk about it. So I like sending it to other people who have channels, and then you see what other people think about it.
I swear to God, I love Les Odorants.
Yes.
There is rarely an episode that goes by where your name is not mentioned.
That's pretty fun. It's because I keep bothering them. I'm like, do you want to fucking smell this? And they're like, oh yeah, bollocks, go on. And then it's like, it's always just a sample, and then they can like sit and decide whether they want or they like it enough to go and buy it or try and acquire it. So I mean, somebody here, the love of G. It could. Is it the love of Richie G? I don't know. Anyway,
it's the love of Galen is what it is.
It's the love of Galen. Yes, I never thought. It is my understanding that Hermes is planning on launching Paddock and making it more available for others to purchase. A solid source just informed me. We'll see. We will see. How do I feel about it? I agree with your analysis earlier. I don't think it'll do that well, as far as sales is concerned. But it's a what is it? It is a worthy addition and infinitely better than 99% of all the other designers that are being released at the minute. Because you would put this in a design line. It's not in a Hermes. It's not a Hermes essence. If they just release this as a standalone perfume, then it competes with stuff like Jean Paul Gaultier and fucking Coach and Boss, all them fragrances. This is better than anything they've released in possibly decades.
Yeah, I think this would stand much better next to Bellamy or Rocabar or Equipage. That's probably the side of the shelf it should be on.
Definitely. I wouldn't go to the Hermes Essence line, but I mean, to be fair, if you think about it, they'll get to charge more money for it if they do. So maybe they will. Robes 08 is here. Welcome, Robes. And he says, Hermes Essence as a line just blend well together. Personally, I don't think there's too much a huge gap from the worst to the best. They do what they do, and they are consistent throughout. It's a very coherent line. It's one of the pluses of having an in-house perfumer. I was talking to Jura Rose yesterday because we were talking about Frederick Malle leaving, and it's back in the day, in-house perfumers weren't really a thing. Chanel and Hermes. Chanel had Henri Robert, and they had Ernst Beau, and then Jacques, and then Olivia Polge. But Chanel they've always been they've always been different. Whereas you had houses would always get submissions from a multitude of different perfumers and then pick the one that they thought best fitted the brief. And I think that provided more plurality than what we've seen now with the advent of the in-house perfumer. You know, there are good and bad. There are good and bad side. Well, there are good and bad things to every decision that you'll ever make. But I think that if more houses went back to the competitive brief and got perfumers to compete for things more, then I think that that would provide more plurality. I've got this massive bee in my bonnet. It's one of the things, along with free bottles for review, whether you want to call them free bottles or samples or anything else. That's a thing for me. And the lack of plurality in releases, everything smells the same now, and it makes us ill. I go to the department store and there's just nothing.
They're very cozy. They all seem to be in bed with one another.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very symbiotic relationship. It's, you know,
it's like I read Rachel very kindly gifted me a membership, a free month of Luca Turin's musings.
Oh.
And he was complaining and bemoaning and thank you, Rachel, you are too kind. He was complaining and bemoaning the materials and how these amber woods and these synthetic, and it's not the syntheticness that I'm complaining about. It's the patent of the materials. You know, like the what's it called when you it's not. I forget the word for it when you get the intellectual property and you get to keep it for a while before it's released. But the no, it's not captive. It's not captive molecules product. It's something else. When you create something and you get to keep the IP, it's yours, and you can patent it for a little while. And I can't remember what it's called. It's a word. Anyway, he was bemoaning that these chemicals, which have been developed by like skin, like cosmetic proprietary information. Thank you, thank God. And DJ, yes, this proprietary information that they've got these molecules that are like they're captive to the house, you know. They're developed by like dermatologists,
sure,
so that they don't have reactions on the skin, and they can use huge amounts of it in a formula because it doesn't react with the skin. Whereas a lot of the molecules that have been banned over the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years, you can only use very small amounts of them, but every once in a while someone will have a reaction to it. So the pool of materials is shifting towards the safe, dermatologically tested stuff, and they all smell very similar because of the way that they react on the skin. And that's why perfumes now are becoming very samey, you know. They're becoming very samey. That was a very convoluted and poor version of what Luca Turin said, which is why he writes on Substack and I just talk bollocks on stream.
Yeah, I was thinking about 5 minutes ago, I was like, get to the fucking point.
Yes, and I was struggling. I couldn't even think of the words. I couldn't think of the word. I'm a YouTuber who can't think of words. It's I mean, there's another interview apparently with Frederick Mahl 10 years ago from 2013, 2014. And he said then if the latest round of IFRA regulations went through, he'd be finished, which is one of the reasons I think he was willing to sell to Estee Lauder to keep the company up. And then I think that, oh God, and then I think that what he's done is, hopefully what he's done is he's going to do a Remy He's going to do a Remy and an Antoine Lee and a Valerie, and he's going to go and he's going to make a smaller company. He's going to be able to be much more nimble. He's going to have the control that he wants. He's going to be able to. He's basically going to do what Joe Malone did, and Remy and Antoine, and go back to doing what makes him happy. He doesn't need the money. I imagine. I imagine he's done very, very, very well.
He was born into money.
Yes. And he was born into perfume as well. It's not his fault, you know.
Nope.
That's just the way it was. But the thing is as well is that he's made it on his own as well. It's not like he's just like lived off his parents. I mean, look at everything Frederick Moll's achieved as a man, you know. I can't believe he's only 61. He started Frederick Moll when he was 2 years younger than me. That makes me feel fucking ill. He's only 61. He's only 61. Not only is he only 61, he looks younger than me as well.
You are you're an absolute failure, Rich.
Absolutely, I have failed in everything. I can only collect perfume. Never mind make it.
Yep.
That's it. I was telling Eugene the other day, every time I look at the Deleur Exquise, I just get a little warm feeling in my gut. Do you know what I mean? I just get a little every time I think about it, every time I wear it, I just get a little warm feeling when I say it. And I was like, this is mint, you know. If anything else ever happens, like and just anything else, I mean, like, it can't be taken away, you know. La Deleur Exquise is my tiny imprint, my little duck foot on the world. It's awesome. Man. He's making new ones. Don't know much about them at the minute, but he is intent on producing more perfume, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
It can only be a good thing because I think more perfumes need to be made by people like him, you know?
Yeah. I certainly have a newfound respect for the sheer joy that fragrance brings to people, right? People from, you know, all different walks of life, all different ages. And it's hard to not respect somebody who says, I'm going to do this too, right? Fuck it. I'm going to figure it out. So even if I don't like what they produce, massive respect to them, right? Following the dream, carrying it through, seeing what happens. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next round as well.
Yes, there was a couple of people were asking us if they were going to come out in the next couple of months, because Eugene had said that he had a big reveal, or like a big thing to say today, which we have promptly stolen and fucking revealed it for him with his nominations.
Well, that's all public knowledge, right?
Yeah. He didn't say it on YouTube though. I think he said it on Instagram. But I'm not on Instagram.
He could have fired up a live stream the minute after they said his name.
And you were calling for that. I remember. You were. You were calling for that.
I said, it's Friday night. I don't want to have to talk to my wife. Please start a live stream.
Yes. Exactly. Please do a stream. Good God. But I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say something, but I forgot what it was now. But yes, he don't. No, sorry, that's what it was. Somebody said, "Oh, he's going to be releasing perfume." I don't think they're imminent. In fact, I'm pretty sure they're not imminent. I would be surprised if they got out this year. Hopefully, not revealing too much information there, but
well, I'm sure we'll hear about it soon enough. When the time is
in the fullness of time. I wonder. There's Les and Demodablers are doing an oud, which is coming in September. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
Have you not heard about this? They're also doing an orange blossom perfume as well.
Apparently, I don't think I've heard about either of these.
So the Les and Demodablers are releasing a fat oud, which is going to cost about 500 euros a bottle, I think. 50 mil, and it's going well quite. It's going to be a certain number of bottles, and then that's going to be it, because they bought this piece of oud, and it's Cambodian oud, which is I say it's my favorite kind of oud. It's not high bar. It's not like I'm not massively into oud at all, if I'm honest. But I'm intrigued to smell it. I would like to smell it, but 500, 400 euros for 50 mils of anything is. I mean, I'm somebody who bought The Night by Frederick Malle, but I got to smell it first, you know. And it was when I was in my silly phase. And don't get us wrong, I'm glad I've got it, and I do wear it. I do like it, and in fact, I love it. But I'm not someone who's going to go out and buy the entire brand new Original Dore collection for $1,700 on the day it's released. I'm not someone who's going on to eBay paying $1,000 for a bottle of Orige or Bortnikov. Or I've got a couple of the Bortnikovs up there. I've got the 10 mil of Oud Maximus and Oud Monarch, and they're nice, but I never wear them. You know, they're nice, but I never reach for them. I never even think about it. It doesn't even come into my consciousness. And some people absolutely love oud, and I just don't get it.
You know, I see the world of high-end oud kind of like stereophiles, right? You know, people who've got 6 figures, 7 figures invested in sound systems, or like the high-end, watch world, right? Where it's just like, I cannot compete. I cannot keep up. I'm just going to walk away.
Yeah. I don't mind watching those people. They're interesting. They have their thing, and it's a good study in human behavior. But what do I think of that? Not a lot. Am I going to pay that? I'm almost certainly not going to buy the Les Indomptables oud at that price. If there's an orange blossom centric one, am I going to buy that? Oh, I wouldn't have thought so. It'll depend what else is in it. Because they're not easy. They're not easy ouds, and I imagine it'll be good. It'll be made well, but it's what you pair oud with. If it's an oud rose, like if it's an oud rose saffron, what's the point? You know, I have no doubt that the quality of the materials and the blending will be superior, but at the same time, it's being done. You know.
Yeah. I certainly don't know sales volumes or how many bottles of those Les Indomptables are going to be available, but you might have an opportunity to try them before you buy them. I mean, unless it's like 40, 50 bottles, right?
I think it's 500. I think
you could probably get your nose on it. I mean, that's 500 is actually that's a lot of bottles.
Yes, it is. That's what Eugene made of each of his fragrances, wasn't it? And they're not sold out. So that's.
Were you supposed to say that?
I don't know. I don't know. Forgive us, Eugene. But that's like the minimum quantity that they make as like a run. You know, that's their minimum that they run. They wouldn't like make like 100 or 200 or 5 or like 3, 4. It's got to be 5. It seems like 5's the magic number. Pradeep says Rock is also 500.
Yeah, and that took months to sell out.
Yes. It's somebody said I still have 10 mil of patchouli noisette. 10 mil is plenty for me. I liked patchouli noisette, and then I didn't like patchouli noisette, and then I do like it again. It's not an easy fragrance to oh, fuck off. Just drop me vintage Hermes. That's no good. That's patchouli noisette. Have you got this?
I have a sample of it.
Yes.
I'm gonna say something that's it's probably not that controversial, but I'll probably get shit on for it, and rightly so. There's like 3 brands, right, that kind of fall under that Antoine Lee created umbrella, and they're probably all made by, you know, by Remy. Is Les Indemnidables, Eris, and Les Abstraits.
Yep.
Les Indemnidables is my least favorite of the 3.
Outrageous.
I figured as much.
That's interesting.
I have not, and I've tried them all. I haven't tried one that I'd be willing to buy just yet.
Oh, so you don't have any?
No, I've got like the sample. Oh, actually, no, that's not true. I have the Escal in Indonesia.
Okay. That'll be good for the heat in Portland.
I'm never going back to Portland, dude. It is nice though. I do like that. But yeah, I've got, you know, their sample set is actually incredible. You know, there's like 15 different fragrances. I think they come in like 3 mil.
Yes, 3.5 mil. Yeah.
They're like, it's like $50.
Yep.
So,
I love that. I absolutely love that about it. Absolutely. Sampling should be the law.
You know, and if nothing else, that amount of perfume will carry me through for a while. So I can't say that I've totally settled on Les Indemnidables being the 3rd of 3, but that's sort of where it is right now.
If I had to say the same thing, I would say Eris is probably my least favorite of the 3. I enjoyed them. I liked the quality, and I liked the artistic direction of the 3 of them, but none of them really grabbed me. I bought MXXX, but I never wear it, and I'll probably sell it. It's just, there's something a little off-putting in it. There's something a little bit that rifts on me, like it jars with us. I don't really care for the Erises, if I'm honest. I think they're good, but I just don't feel like I like them.
Totally understand. And actually, MXXX, I was sampling that one summer in like the heat.
Oof.
And it was fabulous. It was fucking great.
No way.
That's what convinced me to pick that up.
Do you have any of the others?
I have shit. Maybe Belle de Jour. You know what? It's terrible that I can't remember. I do have one of them. I've got 2 total. Most of my perfumes are still packed away.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Are you at peace with that? Are you all right with that? Does it bother you that you can't get access to them? Do you think about them when they're not there?
Well, I can access them, but they're all still boxed up.
Okay.
They're all boxed up down in the basement. I have maybe 10 that have been taken out of the boxes and that are on the shelf up here.
Okay.
And I kind of rotate between those almost exclusively.
And do you find that you're satisfied by that?
For the time being, yes. I'm one of those people that likes to kind of take a behavior and then just run it into the ground.
Yes.
And so it was like, you know, a solid decade of, I need to wear 2 different fragrances every single day, right? Never repeat anything. And the last 6 months, it's been small set of 10 to choose from, right? And I'm just going to wear these. And I've really liked it.
How do you choose what to wear when you wear perfume? Like, what is the motivating factor for you to wear a perfume? What is it that you take into consideration?
Well, usually at the most basic level, it's how do I want to feel today?
Hmm.
And then if that feeling is not socially acceptable, then I'll probably change my mind a little bit.
It's I find, obviously with being British, I reflect the weather, but I find I'm much more passive in my choice. I reflect what's going on that day, the weather, where I'm going, what I'm doing, how I feel, what I think. I take like lots of different things, and then every once in a while I'll just completely throw that out the window and just say, bollocks, I'm wearing that. I'm wearing something else today because I feel like just catches me eye. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's and I find it fun like that. I also find that having split my collection in two makes it much more interesting for me, so that I can have a bit of self-denial. I think a bit of that kind of, that denial, that restriction really enhances the experience of wearing perfume for me.
You know what? This reminds me that denial reminds me of what we were doing to the chat about an hour and a half ago. Remember that?
What was that? Just ignoring them?
No, we were edging.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's right. I'm edging myself.
That unboxing, right? When we finally got around to it and gave them full release.
Yes. The chat was erect.
Oh my God. They were, it was the intensity, right? I mean, it was stratospheric. Right?
There was a lot of mess, I imagine. There was a lot of mess in the stream. How outrageous.
Oh my God.
Yes, I am ready to go. Are you ready to go?
I guess so. I've actually really enjoyed this.
Yes.
I do feel terrible that I've kind of ignored the stream. Or, I'm sorry, the chat, but you know, that's like 50% of the fun for people that watch, I think, is just like bullshitting amongst each other.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're just kind of here as like a reason for them to talk to each other.
Exactly.
And I do bear that in mind actually when I do streams and stuff like that. Like there's conversations that go on, and there's running themes as well. People will have conversations over a number of different streams.
Well, you know, what's been so different about this stream is that I actually I didn't get to lurk in the chat, and I did not get to insult you nearly as much as I like to.
Well, a little bit of denial. You're edging yourself there. You see, it's been the theme of the stream. You've edged yourself with a little bit of self-denial there, Galen. Next time when you're in the chat and you get to come in and say something absolutely abhorrent, then you will just be like, oh, I can just hear an absolutely foul noise emanating from you. The next time you get to release all that pent up evil which lurks within. And I will be delighted for you when you do.
Awesome. Well,
we will do this again. Yes, Oris says it was when Galen took the cellophane off his box in one piece. That was deeply satisfying. Look at it; it's still in its shape.
I unsheathed it. Is what
it
really
was unsheathed. Sheath. Good word. Okay then, friends. Thank you very much for joining us. It has been epic. Paddock is a success, in my opinion.
Indeed. Agreed.
What are your final thoughts on the Paddock as where it is and where it's been and where it's headed?
Pleasantly surprised. Kind of that smoky leather. Still that hay. It's kind of smoldering right now. But you know what? it's still early for me. I got a full day wearing ahead of me. More to come.
We should come back, and we should come back in a few weeks when you have had some time, and other people have smelled it too, and we can do a review, or we can do an overview, and the people will join. So I think we had about 75 people watching at one point, which is utterly terrifying.
Oh,
but consistently over 60. For people who are bothered by that kind of thing. I don't mind. When I stream on the gaming channel, I get like 4, 5, 10, 15 sometimes, and I'm just doing what I would be doing anyway, but just doing it on stream with other people. So it's kind of like the best thing. So it has been an amazing chat, Galen. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.
You will. Thank you, everybody. I will see you all again soon. Bye-bye.